sleep is cool. So we're doing a morning devotional. And this morning, the devotional is going to be actually interactive. So for those who were part of the conversation that we had last night to prep for this a little bit, I just asked some folks, what type of questions do you have? And let's see if we can share those questions together. And in sharing those questions together, we can kind of talk through some stuff. So the questions are really going to come out of what you are sharing with me. If you see me looking down right now, it's just because I'm inviting a few people to this to see who bites. We'll take it from there, right? All right. So if you are live with us, do a thumbs up. Oh, I see Kadine's on, John's on. What's up, cuz? Renan's on. Earl, hey, I see you. Good morning. Happy Sabbath to you too, John. Do we know who would like to do that first question? And if you do the question, what I'm going to see, will it let me do that? Yeah. Just write in your question on the comment section. And based on the comments that you put on there, that's going to determine whether or not I answer it. Really, I guess that's it. A bunch of different questions that came in from yesterday. It's the first. All right. So, John, you got the first one, brother. How do we give up complete control to God and remain faithful? He will see us through. How do we give up complete control to God? That's the same type of question that Paul asked himself. Paul was like, the good I want to do, I don't do. But that crazy thing that I don't want to do, that's what I find myself doing, right? And this is coming from Romans. It says, so what should I do? I'm a wretched creature, And so this is, I'm going to give it to you like this. It'll be like the guy addicted to watching porn. He's like, I'm not going to watch porn anymore. I'm not going to watch porn anymore. Okay, one more time. But after this one more time, I'm not going to watch porn. Two more times. But after these three more times, I'm not,
it becomes like, okay, it's January, right? You're like, this year I'm going to exercise. I'm gonna, my body's a temple and it's gonna be like holy and stuff. So,
right. And I love your question a lot. And so what I want to say to you, John, is this, right? You're really not going to be in this eternal state of surrender to God. I don't want to lie to you and tell you that this is the reality. It's not. The reality is like most of the stories in the Bible. That's why I like the Bible so much. Most of the stories in the Bible show people that God used, but they failed a lot. Whether it was Abraham, Noah, whether it was Old Testament, New Testament, was it Paul or Peter? It's a lot of people who fail a lot, but it's how do you respond when you fall, right? And so there's two different things. We use like fancy religious words like sanctification. Really, all that means is this. It's how do you walk with God knowing at some point you're going to be disconnected from him. And then when you're disconnected from him, you will succumb to your own inner desires, right? There are things that attach themselves to you a lot of times because of things you've done in your life, right? Bad decisions you've made. Could be drinking, it could be partying, it could be sex, it could be food, right? It could be not getting enough rest. Whatever habits and routines, right? It becomes part of you. And then you become a Christian, and then some people act like you become a Christian and everything is holy now, and now you don't struggle. No, you still struggle, bro. You're gonna still struggle a lot, in fact. It's now what do you do with your struggles? That's why I love like people like in the Bible, like David. This dude was like, he slept with a lot of people's wives, and he killed people. He did lots of things, but you never see him sin the same sin twice. Because what he learned to bring his brokenness to God. So how do you commit to God? By being willing to be ugly and vulnerable with him. If you're willing to bring your ugliness with him and tell him what you really struggle with and bring it to him, what you'll find is you'll find strength in your weakness. you will actually find that at your most broken place, where your self-control and self-discipline fails you, is where you're strongest, because you're able to say, God, I just suck at this. What are we going to do here, God? And whatever you say, I'll do it. You got to hit bottom enough to where you say, God, I will just surrender to you, period. And if you do that, what you'll see happen, John, is that it will actually transform your life. And you will gain a lot more strength, miracles, and you will find that you'll be able to live. So for those who are just joining in, we're going through different questions, and I'm asking people to ask different questions, and we're just sharing some answers. So John asked, how do you give up complete control to God and remain faithful? He'll see you through. So what I want you to understand in this Christian journey, unfortunately, is you sucking a lot and God coming to your rescue. That's really it. I wish people would be honest and say that's what it is, and then we wouldn't walk around like we got to be okay all the time. That's not really the truth. The truth is you're going to suck a lot, but God's going to cover you. God's going to heal you. God's going to restore you, and God will never give up on you. So it's not so much how do you hold on till the end. It really isn't you holding on to God's hand that gets you to the end. It is mostly God not letting you go, right? And in that relationship of like being openly broken, you will see that you will grow, you will get stronger, and you'll get the victory. You'll see the same testimonies of the Bible, because that's what you see in the Bible a lot. All right. So John's follow-up to that was, even in our downfall, God can still use us for good works in his will, as a question mark. So what I want you to understand is, as adults, we stop reading a lot of the Bible stories, which is one of the worst things that can possibly happen. And the reason why I say that to you is this. In the Bible stories, all you see is people who fall and fail, and God used them anyway. But I'm going to start off with the most extreme example, right?
So one example is this. God used a pagan king that was actively practicing his pagan worship to share through Daniel, revelations that last all the way to today. God used him to give future predictions of how the world would unfold and which kingdoms will come. Why would God use a pagan person? This pagan person said God was the only God at one point, right?
What I'm saying to you is God can use an ass, right, the donkey, right? And God can use a pagan king. God can use a king who betrays his most trusted soldier and kills him and takes his wife. Or God can use an angry man like Moses. God can use Paul, who martyred the first Christian, right? God can use everybody.
So your brokenness doesn't disqualify you from God. And that's why it's important to know the Bible stories, because Old Testament and New Testament shows God will use you despite your fallings.
So, and this is the last one, and I'm going to switch to the next question. But Jonah, when Jonah was on the boat, God said to go to Nineveh, and Jonah got on a boat, and he asked, is it going the opposite direction? The guy said yes, and he got on the boat. Now, keep in mind, his calling was to be a prophet, to bring God's word to different places, right? And so when he was on the boat, God created a storm because Jonah was disobeying God. He was totally going the opposite way. And as Jonah's going the opposite way, what happens is, he fell asleep. And so here's the thing. You can have total peace while being disobedient to God, right? He did. He had peace. And so he disobeys God. This is the most important part of the story I want you to get based on your question, John, is this, that the people on the boat, when they threw him off the boat, finally, as he was begging them, the waters went from storm to calm. And everybody on the boat said, surely his God is the God.
I want you to get this. In his disobedience, his blatant disobedience of God, he was still able to share the realities of God and the testimonies of God. And the people on that boat recognized and saw the real God. So what I'm saying is, even if you stumble through it, even if you're making 10 wrong decisions for every 12 attempts, right? God will still use even your failings for his glory. And that's the beauty of God. He can take your lemons and make lemonade. He can convert it. So the work is him doing it, you surrendering it. And just be broken. Ask your question, right? So if you ask your question now, I'll do it. Hassan says, love where you're going with this morning. Thank you, my brother. If you have a question, please share it now. So I'm waiting for that next question.